So, as you recall, last class we talked about social networks, so we introduced the concepts of social network, and we talked a little bit about it. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to start by reviewing what we did last time, and then pick up by introducing some metrics that would cover social networks. If you recall, we started by saying social networks assume that people are interdependent, and that their behavior and their outcome is basically dependent on how they communicate with each other. And then we talked about ties between members of a social network. Mr. Watson, can you remember us, can you remind us what we talked about when we said about ties?
Ties?
Yes.
Well, there are many different kinds of ties.
So you did not study?
The paisley tie.
I guess you need to get prepared before you come to class.
I guess I should. Thank you.
So actually, we said ties are based on the graph theory. So we represent a network as a graph, and then we look at the interconnectivity between the nodes in that graph, and these would be considered ties. So most of the statistics we're going to, or the metrics we're going to come up today, are going to talk about these ties. So traditionally, people used to view, I mean, if we were talking about an organization, people used to view an organization in this way. So the boss, and then the managers, and then stuff like that. But I mean, more and more, we're more interested in how people are interconnected in a certain network. So how many emails people send to each other, how many phone calls they make to each other. And based on this kind of interconnectivity, we kind of draw that graph, where people are represented as nodes, and the relationships between people are represented as these ties. So, I mean, in this case, if you notice that Mr. Jones, who's the boss, is basically not really connected with his staff, probably that's his style of managing. He only likes to get connected with the managers. And if you can see that Mr. Cole, who's way down in that hierarchy, is basically assumes a role which seems to be quite important. Now, you can go back and say, this might be the secretary. Everybody goes to the secretary, and I mean, they want something from that. And it might be a certain guy who's really smart and managed to do everything in that office. So, the first step in looking at a network is basically to identify our subgroups. So in this case, we have an organization with the marketing group in yellow, with the manufacturing group in yellow, the finance group in green, and the marketing group in orange. So, so you start by drawing the relationships between these people, and you start realizing that Sam seems to be a hub. Everybody goes to Sam for some questions and answers, and then Sam disseminates the information to the other staff in finance. So, so then you would say that Sam is a central person in that network. You would also say that who's over there, seems to be kind of disconnected. Nobody goes to to ask questions. He goes to everybody else for questions and suggestions. So the other question would be, what if Sam leaves that organization? As you can see, since Sam was playing a quite important role in that network, without Sam, the flow of information inside that organization seems to be unbalanced. So I mean, these would be questions on what to do now that we know that this guy plays an important role. How should we maintain the flow in case one day he's sick, let's say, and he's not leaving for good? So based on that, people have came up with basically 3 metrics that would characterize a network. The first one is called centrality. And when we talk about centrality, we're talking about how many links are connected to a certain node. So for instance, Ming has 5 links that connects Ming to the rest of the network. And in this case, we differentiate between total degree centrality, which is the direct links regardless of directions of relations. The in degree, which is, as the name means, it's how many links goes toward that node. Then the out degree, how many links goes out of that node. The other concept is the concept of closeness, which is the distance of a given node to each node in the network. And in this case, you want to see how the elements in that organization are connected. Not necessarily, I mean, it's not when they go to reach out for information or when people go to them for information. It's a combination of both. The other concept is the betweenness, which is the extent to which a node can facilitate communication to other nodes in the network. So, I mean, in this case, the betweenness would be a good characterization for what Sam did in that network. So Sam had a high betweenness role in that network. So just to wrap up, if you want to look at this network, you can find out that this node has a high total degree centrality, and then you would start by thinking, what does that mean? How would that imply on my organization? This node has a high closeness in this network, and this node has a high betweenness in that network. And so the next question would be how to make sure, how to analyze this kind of information and come up with implications about our organization. Thank you.
Thank you.